YouTube, I am still working on the Miata. Nothing new there. So, I cut up the rear subframe out like I wanted to. I got the arch or tunnel piece that I wanted that had the e-brake cable stops, mounts, or whatever you want to call it, and little springy tension bracket. So that's cut out. It's still a rough cut. I left a little extra because I don't know how much I need. And then I cut out a little bit more of the trunk. Yes, I'm working on the rear, not the front. The front's pretty much done, minus paint. Let me flip this camera around and show you a little what I did. So, like mentioned, this actually sits that way. I cut out the tunnel piece that I wanted. I cut off the back half of the mount. And then in the trunk here, I cut up to the base of the back seat pretty much. I still need to clear out the cross member mount, shock mount, whatever the hell that was called, shock cross member. And it totally threw me off that this engine bay, or the gas tank, sits offset. It's actually more here than there is there. At first I thought I was tripping, but there's like a almost 3-inch difference. I guess the muffler used to sit in this corner. So like I said, I need to trim that one out. Trim that out to get to the frame itself. Then I could jack this thing back up. It's late, it's cold. I don't want to open the garage door. Hopefully I'll get some daytime garage time and get that up there. As you see, it's a tight fit. So it's around jack stands, it's already leveled. I don't want to sit there and try to move the car forward and then back, depending how I'm working on it. I have barely enough room for me to fit back here, and then enough room for me to walk around that way to get to my tools. So once I trim that extra sheet metal off and whatnot, I'll put the subframe back up again, see about where I need to trim out a little bit more, because it is going to come really close to this, and I'm going to need to cut down there at least flush. That way it fits up square. And then once I get that done, I can figure out how much of this guy I really need. You might be wondering, why don't I get some 3x3 or whatever. Metal's expensive, and yeah, still no income. So I am doing the best with what I got. I mean, stuff is plenty thick, it's double walled. You know, I'll plate the piss out of it. You know, all the sheet metal I've been using has been 12 gauge, I believe, or thicker. So yeah, you know, my tunnel's stronger than factory, which will be great because it'll help with strength. And then I will eventually pick up some box tubing and do the what you call it, torque box up front, and then under the seats box that in, or triangulate it or whatever, you know, kind of like one of those X chassis subframe mounts or something. But I will add some more strength to it. Once again, the sheet metal I'm using is thicker than what the factory was. The Miata sheet metal is thicker than what the factory was. I mean, if you see the earlier videos, that stuff is flimsy. It's like, you know, cold roll, you know, whatever metal with a whole lot of sound deadening on it that makes it appear thick, but it's not. So let's cut to the next thing I'm doing. So let's cut those brackets out, or whatever mounts that I mentioned, and get the subframe up in the air and see what else I gotta nip out. So cut out some more metal. You get the last of those shock tower reinforcements out, and then walk that up again and figure out how much of this I need to cut out right there to fit the strut mounts, or coilover mounts. It's a shock with a coil on it, so it's a strut slash coil. God knows. Gotta Google it. Anyways, So, trimmed it out. It still needs to go forward about like 2 inches or so. And I'm not too sure how much more higher up, because I had to take off the springs to clear in here. But, yeah, gonna have to notch the frame regardless, because let's see, that looks like full droop. And my height's pretty close to, I think, where I need to be. So I'm just trying to see if I cut out enough. I think I need to trim some more of that right there on both sides. Maybe make a big cardboard template of the other, or the Miata stuff. Lay it on top. But even at like what looks like full droop, that's pretty low. So we'll see what's up. So here's that chunk of the subframe I was talking about. Cut it. It's not exactly centered, but I'm using this to mark up the coilover strut locations. Whew, it's been one hell of a day. Tired. Back is killing me. So that's about how much I need to cut. Like straight, it's gonna fit inside the wheel well. Oh, that's amazing. As for my wheel well, oh, the wheels will fit. Just can't be deep dish. Unless I want to be like the unicorn and cut the fenders and wide body the piss out of this. But yep, getting there. So this is where I'm at. I had to double check all my measurements. Thank God, you know, double, triple check. From there, I had to go to there, about 1 inch and some change. Of course, that one's off. I haven't bothered with that. I need to trim that corner out a little bit better. I think the thing's slightly cockeyed, but it's pretty much a same hole each side that needs to be trimmed. Nope, that's just bent down. So you hammer that corner out, and then again, these aren't trimmed that even. Might have to pull it out and retrim it, but that is where I'm at. So here it is, somewhat mocked in. I need to trim like 1 inch off the tip there because that is hitting. They look kind of level or even, but they weren't. So that's pretty much where it needs to be. Height wise, according to this picture here, the front cross member or subframe is the same height as the rear, and yeah, and then the bottom of the car is pretty much level all the way across. So I need to trim that to push this forward 1.25 inches. This side's okay. And then inside the wheel well here, I need to trim some more of the factory frame out for that A-arm to clear. So yeah, it's a level plane. This is in no means centered or leveled, but I threw the chunk of e-brake tower to kind of give me an idea, you know, where everything sits, and I think it looks pretty good. And then of course there's going to be a gang load of like 12 gauge steel, you know, reinforcing this and, you know, adding on to the boxing and whatnot, so the rear end doesn't just fall out of the car first attempt as the burnout. So getting there. So the IRS is almost fully mocked up. And the factory gas tank stopped here. I left those points so I could technically use that chunk, still use the factory gas tank, which is going to sit kind of low, but I could always pick up some 1x1 box and lift up the floor or whatever. Give me a little bit more exhaust room, I guess, since the exhaust is going to be coming right there instead of going that way, which has more room for a muffler. Might just go that way. And then if I ever go LS or whatever the hell in here, I could go twins, go this way and that way. And depending on how much space I have, I might just get a fuel cell, put a, plate that off, put a fuel cell on top of that, and then get an in-tank pump and be done with it. I could definitely fit a 15-gallon, maybe even 20-gallon up here, and plate this smooth. And this gives me more than enough room for actual mufflers to keep the car quiet. And still have trunk, because I don't know who the hell ever piles up shit way back there. I get it, sometimes you need it, but if I put a tank up against the seat, sheet metal that, or aluminum plate it, whatever the hell. But getting there. So, trim down the mounts, doing a couple tack welds. It is centered, it is level with the car. Now I just need to figure out how to tie in the old chassis in with the new chassis. It's going to be kind of creative, make plates, make my own box tubing, I guess. It might look uneven, but it's not, because the gas tank sits more to this side, so that's why that looks level and that doesn't. And like I said, these drill marks here, you can actually see the mark right there. I could technically fit my gas tank in here. And yes, the wheels look way tucked in there, but that's because there's no coilovers or struts or whatever the fuck you want to call them. So I got a couple tacks holding it in. 3 on each side. Or is that 4? 4 on each side. So it comes up right against the seat, and then the tunnel will tie into it. So I may build a bar across here like that catches the tunnel piece. Not even sure if the tunnel needs to come up that high. Might be able to just get away with the medium-sized tunnel. But there it is. It is locked in. Me and my frame rails are right here. Might be able to just plate it, triangulate it, whatnot. And then I'll see from here to here. I can also plate it, and that'll hold that. And then come back with some box steel, and then like the Miata subframe shit where they got like that flanned out tube that comes up to like here, and go from there. That's for my tunnel here. It's not exactly the greatest angle, but yeah, this will probably be more down like that. I need to trim that, of course. Gotta measure the height difference from here to there and nip that off the legs, but should be pretty good. Let me see if I got a piece of straight metal or something to see how that is going to line up. So for shits and giggles, threw this long ass level on here, which huge gap because of the weld, but that's about the height of my tunnel all the way through. So that's at least 6 inches. So this, this will be about that height. So like I said, I gotta cut some shit out of the feet there, but now that I got that framed up, I could drop the actual sub member. So that is where we're at. Got the Miata frame welded into the Falcon frame. It's leveled, it's leveled, it's leveled, all 3 axis or 5 axis, whatever the fuck you want to call it. X, Y, Z, and then I don't know what comes after that. Yeah, it's tacked in, so like I said, I could work on framing it in and strengthening it, and then finishing the tunnel and hopefully start, you know, running the transmission PPF, delete, or extend the huge torque arm from the diff to the trans. Anyways, once again, thanks for liking, subscribing. Take care.